if a science is included for all the event. Okay, suppose if you're changing the state, one state to another state. So what is the one state to another state? If you're taking for ice cube, is a solid state, correct? Suppose if you boiling them or heated them, ice cube is melted to changing in liquid. Okay, so if a solid state, if it's changing in liquid, and if you given for more heat or temperature, you are increasing for water, if it's changing of vapor. Okay, so that is a gas state. Okay, so there is a three stated if you are having for of ice cube, the solid, liquid and gas. That is called changes. Okay, so if you entirely your around your in daily life, if changing is very common. Okay, so you're discussing about for this lesson for the same concept. Okay, physical changes and chemical changes, okay, of the matters. So what is the physical changes and chemical changes? If you simply explained what is the physical changes, is a reversible process, is called introductions. Physical changes of matter. The changing of butter. Okay, so initially the butter is a solid state. Okay, and if you given in the outside the temperature increases for the butter, if you changing melting, and after if you changing for a liquid state, correct? So suppose if you take it as a butter, if a liquid state butter, okay, so if you take it and then you put it for the freezer in your fridge some few times, after if you see the same state, it will become if a vapor is cooled, is changing for of liquid, the liquid is more than enough given of cooling, it's changing for a solid state. So that is called reversible process. It means the physical process. And suppose if you have chemical process, what is a chemical process? If you given for the nail, okay, if a nail few days after, if you're changing for a of nail, okay, so it again comes to the same state, that not the possible. Okay, so that is meaning it's called the chemical changes. Are you correct? Okay, and same range. Okay, so it's called of irreversible process. The irreversible process is called then chemical changes. I clear children? Changes around us is explained for the two concepts very importantly: physical changes and chemical changes. Okay, the physical changes is a reversible changes, and chemical changes is an irreversible changes. Okay, clear children? If you're moving for the introduction now. Okay, so changes around us. Introduction. So what is the introduction is given here? Changes take a place around us all the time. Okay, I already said if the entire of a universe, if it's changing then of one point in another point is for regularly irregularly event. Okay, so the changes take the place around us all the time. The changes refer to alternation in the physical properties or alternation in combination of matter. Okay, it's not only for a single of matter, if a combination of matter. Okay, so the changes refer to on alternation and physical properties or alternation of the composition of the matters. For examples, the ice melt on the heating. Okay, it's already a set for the enough example. The ice melt of the heating, that is changes of solid to liquid, correct? And for the heating, water started the evaporating, it changing from liquid to gas. Okay, are you clear, children? So if you given for a further of more heated, if your water is changes of vapor, so instead of liquid to gas. Okay, so here there is a changing in physical state of substance. Okay, because it's a reversible process, you know. Okay, so let us look at the another changes. That is when an object made in an iron or explode in a moist conditions. Okay, so if your iron rod and the nail something, if you are taken off any of iron, okay, objects, okay, so if you explode, if in moist conditions, yeah, reddish brown initial point of the matter. After rusting, if we will changes of a few changes of the matter. Okay, so thus the changing of involves of alternation of properties such as color, correct? It's not a before of rusting color and after rusting color is not the same. Okay, if we physical changes. Okay, so what is the physical changes? So not only for a reversible process, it's only it's a volume changes and it is called of physical changes. So water is remains same, but the changing of volume. Okay, see the changes of physical changes. So if you are considering for of volume changes, okay, it's called of physical changes. So, so whereas the case the burning of paper changing to the carbon dioxide under the substance, now we cannot get back the paper after the burning, correct? So if you once if you burning the paper, it's again is come to the same position, it's not taken off the possible. Okay, so not possible. That is a for it's called of chemical changes. So after this changes is called the chemical nature. It's a called of chemical changes. Okay, if you if you again is taking off the same position of the matter is called of physical changes. That's not a changing of the same position is called of chemical changes. That is concept. Very clear, children? So when we mix sugar and water, any chemical changes or physical changes. Okay, if you mix sugar and water, okay, if you take in a bowl, okay, taking the some if you if you're taking for a 5 ml of water, and if you taking of sugar, okay, that so few of sugars if you mix it, okay, if it changes is entirely dissolving for of sugar into the water, correct? So if it changes is called physical or chemical. What is the changes? Okay, so look at the following list. Identify the physical and chemical changes filling this given table. Okay, the because after the mixing the sugar into water does not have if you uh, sugar and water is not a for of thickness for initially. Okay, so before if you after changing of the liquids, okay, if you bonding of the liquid, if you inside of sugar, if you dissolving, okay, so that is after changes is not for of come to the same position, so it's called of chemical changes only. Okay, so rusting of iron. Rusting of iron, the diagram first one, the rusting of iron. After rusting, you come to the same position. It's not come to the same position is mean the changes is called after one after some few times it's not taken up same position. Okay, if you eat for of any fruits, okay, it's also diagnosis is a chemical changes only. Boiling the egg, either boiling the egg, okay, if you come to the same position only, but if you are inside the egg, the liquid state is changing the solid state. Okay, maybe it's also for if you chemical changes only. Okay, because if you changes for of colors also for in outer side. Okay, so if you are roasting of banana, is a roasting of banana is also chemical changes. Mixing sand and water, so sand and water is also for of chemical changes. Okay, so if you're coupling the food, is come to this after then if you same position, if called of physical changes. Okay, so if you're cutting of your can, so cutting of can, sorry, if you're cutting the hood is a chemical changes, if you're cutting of can is a physical changes. Mixture of different colors buttons, mixture of chemical different buttons, different colors of buttons. After if we taking off if isolates for the after what you need for the colors you taken out. Okay, it's a physical changes. If you're burning of food, so burning of food is also the chemical changes only. Correct? So there is a some few examples given for here. Okay, clear children. So what is the physical changes and chemical changes? You fill the for physical changes and chemical changes, write the diagram. The result is writing for here only. Okay. So in the class 6, okay, you are in the 6th standard. We read that matter is classified as solid, liquid, and gas. Okay, so based on the physical state. Okay, so if you 6th standard is already we discussing about for of solid, liquid, gas. Okay, so solid state and liquid state and gas state. So we know that matter is made of only the tiny particles, atoms or molecules. Correct. So if all the particles, if you made of the tiny particles only, so if you not only for the particles and atoms and molecules also. So particles are in a constant of random of movement. That is, we are looking the summary with the characteristics of the solid, liquid, gas. Now we will be discussing about so characteristics of solid, liquid, and gas. Okay. So how can you identify the solid? How can you identify the liquid? How can you identify the gas? Also, for we now explain the concept. Okay, characteristics of the solid, liquid, gas. When the arrangement of the particles in a substance changing the any of reason, applying the pressure, altering the temperature, and other different of reason, the physical state in the substance gets changes. Okay, so when the arrangement of the particles is substance changing of any reason is mean if you outside the given of pressure, alternating the temperature, and then different of reasons. Okay, if you changing for another state of the changes. Okay, it does will happens when you are applying the heat and substance. Okay, so effects of heat on solid, liquid, and gases. If you taken off ice cube is a solid. If the effects of heat is mean if outside is given for of heat only. Okay, not for the pressure. Okay, so if you are given the outside the heat, what can will be changes of them. such changes where it changes volume but remaining the same all physical changes. Okay, so if following of condition is also explained of the same concept. Okay, so the effect of heat. So again of heat losses. If you given for of math, maybe resulting in melting, boiling, and then fizzling, and in if a condition of contractions. So if your effect of heat attain heat gain and heat loss. Okay, if you are writing about the changing the state, so if you taken of cube, ice cube is a condition, so may the result is expansion of the contraction. During the volume changing of mass is conserved, so mass is conserved is called of loss of heat. Okay, so that is the meaning of heat gain and heat loss of condition. There are the possibilities of the can occur from a heating of solid, liquid and gases. Then possible changes are due to the melting, the boiling of fizzling and conditions during of the changing of physical and particles of matter. So that is discussing for the now detail with short while. So that is then same physical changes and underlying of reasons. So why they are simply physical changes. Okay, so if you given for of some of physical properties of the solid, liquid, gas, if heat given is outside the solid, what will be changes? In particles, are very close up together for initially. Okay, and if in the particles are close together for also for initially, the particles are apart from of each other. It's not for the very closely, is a closely and is each other of part of each other. So particles are arranging in fixed regular pattern. Okay, after the given of the heat, if your particles are arranged in a fixed regular pattern, then particles are not arranged in fixed regular pattern. So for the liquid, so particles are not arranged in fixed regular pattern. It's also for the same, and the particles can vibrate about their fixed position. It's called a mean position. Okay, so the particles are able to the slide on then another. Okay, so it's not for the fixed position, it's a mean position. If you're moving for a linear, that is the particles move freely over into the distance. Okay, if you then three difference of points is very important of 5 mark question. What is the properties of solid, liquid and gas? Okay, I'll play children. And the next one is a physical changes. So what is the physical changes? The physical changes are changes within the only of physical properties of the undergoes then changing into the no changes of chemical composition. Okay, there is a pure substance formed of physical changes. The physical properties including for of stress of malleability or flexibility and then ability of the ductility for drawing the of wire. Okay, so if a density, will of viscosity, solubility, mass, volume, and so on. Okay, so any changes of physical properties is referred to the physical changes. For example, when a rubber band, if you are stitched in a elongate, okay. However, when you are stitching of stopped, the rubber band comes back to the original state, correct, in shape and size. Okay, so it is examples. If you know new substance formed of rubber of a band is remaining of the same before and after of elongations. Okay, so laminations. So if the concept is explained for a physical change, that is meaning is a reversible process. Is already explained for the initially. Okay. Thank you, children. In next class we discussing about characteristics of physical and physical changes. Okay. Thank you.